A 12-year-old boy is crying in the dining car of a train. He's sitting alone. His clothes are wrinkled. He hasn't slept in 2 days. A waiter is standing over him, pointing toward the exit. "Son, this is first-class dining. Your ticket doesn't allow you to be here. You need to go back to coach." "Please, sir, I just wanted to sit somewhere quiet. I'll leave, I promise. Now, let's go." The boy stands up. His legs are shaking. He picks up a crumpled piece of paper from the table, the only thing he has left of his mother. And then a voice cuts through the dining car. "He's not going anywhere." Eugene Allen Hackman is sitting 3 tables away. He's been watching this whole thing. What he did next would turn a 2-day train ride into something that little boy would remember for the rest of his life. But here's what nobody knew. 25 years later, that boy would stand on a stage, accepting an award for his first film. And the first thing he said was, "This is for the man on the train. Stay with me. This one is going to break you." Chicago Union Station, November 1983. The Southwest Chief was scheduled to depart at 3:15 p.m. 43 hours to Los Angeles. 2 nights on the rails. The last great American train journey. Eugene Allen Hackman was in first class, private cabin. He had just finished filming a movie in Chicago and couldn't face another airport. Too many people, too many cameras, too many strangers who wanted something from him. The train was different, anonymous, quiet, a moving sanctuary where he could read, think, and remember who he was before Hollywood found him. He boarded early, settled into his cabin, watched Chicago disappear through the window. He had no idea that somewhere in coach class, a 12-year-old boy was beginning the longest journey of his life. The boy's name was Daniel Torres. 3 weeks ago, Daniel had a mother. Her name was Maria. She worked 2 jobs, cleaning houses in the morning, waitressing at night. She was tired all the time, but she always smiled when Daniel came home from school. "Mijo," she would say, "tell me something good that happened today." And Daniel would tell her about a book he read, about a joke his friend told, about the dream he had of becoming a filmmaker someday. Maria would listen like it was the most important thing in the world, because to her, it was. Then she got sick. It happened fast. A cough that wouldn't go away, a doctor's visit, a diagnosis. Words that Daniel didn't understand but knew were bad. 6 weeks later, Maria Torres was gone. Daniel sat by her bed at the end, held her hand. She could barely speak, but she managed to say one thing. "Find your father, mijo. He's in Los Angeles. This address." She pressed a crumpled piece of paper into his hand. "He doesn't know about you, but he should. You deserve a family." Those were her last words. Daniel had never met his father. Maria had told him the story once. A summer romance, a man who left before he knew she was pregnant. She had never blamed him. She had never been angry. She just raised Daniel alone and loved him enough for 2 parents. Now she was gone, and Daniel had no one. The social workers came. They talked about foster care, group homes, the system. Daniel waited until they weren't looking. Then he took the money his mother had hidden in a coffee can, 127, and bought a ticket to Los Angeles. Coach class, the cheapest option. 43 hours to find a father he had never met. The first night was the hardest. Daniel couldn't sleep. The coach seats didn't recline much. People snored. Babies cried. The train rocked and swayed through the darkness of the Great Plains. He held his mother's note in his hand. Read the address over and over. 1847, Wilshire Boulevard, apartment 4B, Los Angeles, California. Was his father still there? Would he want Daniel? Would he believe him? What if he knocked on that door and nobody answered? What if someone answered and said, "Go away"? Daniel tried not to think about it. He watched the stars through the window instead. His mother used to say that stars were the souls of people who loved us, watching over us from far away. "Are you watching, Mom?" he whispered. "Are you there?" The stars didn't answer. They just kept burning, millions of miles away. By morning, Daniel was starving. He hadn't eaten since Chicago. He had spent almost all his money on the ticket. He had $11 left, $11 for 2 days. He walked through the train, looking for the cheapest food he could find. The snack car had sandwiches for $6. Too expensive, chips for $2. He could make that work. But then he passed the dining car. White tablecloths, real silverware, the smell of bacon and eggs and fresh coffee, people sitting in comfortable chairs, eating breakfast like it was the most normal thing in the world. Daniel stopped, just for a moment, just to look. And then a waiter appeared. "Good morning, young man. Table for one?" Daniel's heart leaped. Yes, please." The waiter smiled and led him to a small table by the window, handed him a menu. Daniel looked at the prices. Breakfast was $14. He had $11, but he was so tired, so hungry, so alone. And this table, with its white cloth and heavy silverware, felt like the safest place he had been in weeks. "I'll just have some water, please. And maybe some bread?" The waiter's smile flickered. "Bread comes with a meal, son. It's not complimentary." "Oh, okay. Just water, then." The waiter paused, looked at Daniel more closely, at his wrinkled clothes, his tired eyes, his skinny frame. "Can I see your ticket?" Daniel's stomach dropped. He pulled out his ticket. Coach class, the cheapest option. The waiter's face changed. "Son, this is first-class dining. Your ticket doesn't allow you to be here." "I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'll go." "You should have known. It's clearly marked at the entrance." Daniel stood up. His hands were shaking. He reached for his mother's note on the table. "What's that?" the waiter asked. "Nothing. It's my mom's. It's all I have left of her." Something crossed the waiter's face. Maybe pity. Maybe annoyance. It was hard to tell. "You need to go back to Coach. Now." Daniel nodded. He was trying not to cry. He was 12 years old. He was alone. He was hungry. And now he was being kicked out of the only place that had felt safe in weeks. "Please, sir, I just wanted to sit somewhere quiet. I'll leave, I promise. Now, let's go." The waiter reached for Daniel's arm, and then a voice cut through the dining car. "He's not going anywhere." Eugene Allen Hackman had been watching from 3 tables away. He had noticed the boy the moment he walked in. Something about him, the way he moved, careful, scared, like a rabbit in an open field. The way he looked at the menu with longing and then ordered only water. Eugene knew that look. He had worn that look himself, 50 years ago. And when the waiter started talking down to the kid, something inside Eugene went cold. He stood up, walked over, placed himself between the waiter and the boy. "He's not going anywhere." The waiter straightened up. He recognized Eugene immediately. Everyone did. "Mr. Hackman, I apologize for the disturbance. This young man is in the wrong section. I heard what you were doing. You were humiliating a child because his ticket isn't expensive enough." "Sir, there are rules." "Rules." Eugene's voice was flat, dangerous. A hungry kid walks into a dining car looking for a piece of bread, and your first instinct is to check his ticket and throw him out. "Mr. Hackman, I'm just doing my job." "No, you're doing something else, and you're going to stop." Eugene turned to Daniel. His voice softened completely. "What's your name, son?" Daniel Torres." "Are you hungry, Daniel?" Daniel nodded. He was afraid to speak, afraid he would cry. "Then sit down." Eugene pulled out the chair across from his own table. "You're having breakfast with me." Daniel didn't move. "Sir, I can't pay." "I didn't ask you to pay. I asked you to sit." Daniel sat. Eugene looked at the waiter. "Bring him whatever he wants. Put it on my bill. And if I see you talk to this boy like that again, I will personally make sure your supervisor hears about it before we reach the next station." The waiter's face went red. He nodded quickly and disappeared. Eugene sat down across from Daniel. "Now, let's get you some food." Daniel ate like he hadn't eaten in days. Because he hadn't. Eggs, bacon, toast, orange juice, pancakes. He tried to slow down, tried to eat politely, but he was so hungry that his body took over. Eugene didn't say anything. He just sipped his coffee and watched, made sure the waiter kept the food coming. When Daniel finally slowed down, when the desperate hunger faded, he looked up at Eugene with eyes full of questions. "Why did you help me?" Eugene set down his coffee. "Because I know what it's like to be 12 years old and alone. I know what it's like to be hungry and have people look at you like you're not worth their time." "You do?" "My father left when I was 13. Just walked out one day and never came back. My mother worked herself to the bone trying to keep us fed. There were nights we didn't eat. There were nights I went to sleep hungry, wondering if things would ever get better." Daniel stared at him. This was Eugene Allen Hackman, movie star, famous, rich, and he was talking about being hungry? "What happened? I grew up, I worked hard, I got lucky, but I never forgot what it felt like to be invisible, to have people look right through you because you didn't have money or nice clothes or a family that looked like the families on TV." Eugene leaned forward. "Now, you want to tell me why a 12-year-old boy is riding a train alone from Chicago to Los Angeles?" Daniel looked down at the table, at his mother's note, still clutched in his hand, and then he told Eugene everything. About Maria, about the sickness, about the last words she ever spoke, about the address in Los Angeles and the father he had never met, about the $127 in the coffee can, and the social workers and the choice he made to run. Eugene listened without interrupting. His face didn't change, but something in his eyes did. When Daniel finished, there was a long silence. "You're looking for your father?" "Yes, sir." "And you don't know if he'll want you?" "No, sir." "And you came all this way on a train by yourself, with nothing but an address and $11 in your pocket?" $9 now. I bought chips yesterday." Eugene almost smiled. "Almost. That's the bravest thing I've heard in a long time, Daniel. It doesn't feel brave. It feels scary. That's what brave is, being scared and doing it anyway." Eugene made a decision. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stay with me for the rest of this trip. You'll sleep in my cabin. There's a couch that folds out. You'll eat in this dining car. And when we get to Los Angeles, I'm going to personally take you to that address and make sure you find your father." Daniel's eyes went wide. "Mr. Hackman, I can't ask you to—" "You didn't ask. I'm telling you. This is what's happening." "But why? You don't even know me." Eugene looked at him for a long moment. "Because 40 years ago, I was you, and nobody helped me. I figured it out alone, and it almost broke me. If I can make sure one kid doesn't have to go through that alone, then maybe all of this—" He gestured vaguely at himself, at his fame, at his life. "Maybe it means something." Daniel started to cry. Not sad tears, relief tears. The tears of a boy who had been carrying a weight too heavy for 12 years and finally found someone willing to help. Eugene didn't say anything. He just handed Daniel a napkin and let him cry. The next 2 days changed Daniel's life. Eugene didn't just give him a place to sleep and food to eat. He talked to him, really talked, about movies, about storytelling, about the craft of creating something from nothing. Daniel had mentioned his dream of becoming a filmmaker. Eugene latched onto that. "You want to make movies? Tell me a story." "What kind of story?" "Any kind. Just make one up. Right now." Daniel thought for a moment. Then he started talking. A story about a boy on a train, looking for his father. Eugene listened, asked questions, pushed him to add details, to think about why characters did what they did. "That's good, Daniel. That's really good." You have an instinct for this. You think so? I've worked with a lot of writers. Most of them overthink everything. You just feel the story. That's rare. Eugene dug into his bag and pulled out a book, a worn paperback about screenwriting. This is the best book on the craft I've ever read. I want you to have it. Mr. Hackman, I can't. Stop saying you can't. You can. You will. That's who you are now. Daniel took the book like it was sacred. They watched the landscape change through Eugene's cabin window. The plains gave way to mountains. The mountains gave way to desert. Eugene pointed things out, how the light changed, how the colors shifted, how a filmmaker would capture each scene. Always be watching, Eugene said. The world is full of stories. You just have to learn to see them. On the second night, as the train crossed Arizona, Daniel asked the question he had been afraid to ask. What if my father doesn't want me? Eugene was quiet for a long time. Then we figure out the next step, together. You're not alone anymore, Daniel. Whatever happens in Los Angeles, you have my number. You can call me any time, and I mean that. Any time. You'd really do that? For someone you just met? I'd do it for you, because you remind me of who I was before all this, and because everyone deserves someone in their corner. Daniel didn't sleep much that night, but for the first time since his mother died, it wasn't because he was scared. It was because he was hopeful. Los Angeles, Union Station. Eugene Allen Hackman walked off the train with a 12-year-old boy beside him. People stared, whispered. A few brave ones asked for autographs. Eugene waved them away. Not now, I'm busy. He hailed a taxi, gave the driver the address. 1847, Wilshire Boulevard. Daniel's heart was pounding so hard he thought it might explode. The building was old, a little run down, not what Daniel had imagined. Eugene paid the driver. Wait here. They walked to the entrance, found the buzzers. Apartment 4B. Eugene looked at Daniel. You ready? No. Good. Do it anyway. Daniel pressed the buzzer. Silence. 10 seconds. 20. Then a voice. Male. Groggy. Yeah? Daniel couldn't speak. His throat had closed up. Eugene stepped in. Sir, my name is Eugene Hackman. I have someone here who needs to speak with you. It's about Maria Torres. A long pause. Then, I'll be right down. The door opened 2 minutes later. A man stood there, mid-40s, dark hair going gray. He looked like he had just woken up. He looked at Eugene, then at Daniel, and then his face changed. Something between shock and recognition and wonder. My God, you look just like her. Daniel's voice was barely a whisper. You knew my mother? Maria? Yes, it was a long time ago, almost 13 years. I'm your son. The words hung in the air like smoke. The man, Daniel's father, didn't move, didn't speak, just stared. And then he started crying. I didn't know. She never told me. I would have been there. I swear to God, I would have. He stopped, looked at Daniel, really looked. You came all this way? To find me? Mom told me to, before she died. She said you should know about me. She said I deserve a family. The man fell to his knees, right there on the sidewalk, and he pulled Daniel into a hug. You do, son. You do. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I wasn't there. Eugene stepped back, watched this moment that he had no part in except making sure it happened. The man looked up at him. Thank you. I don't know who you are, but thank you. Eugene smiled. Just a guy on a train. He turned to Daniel. You have my number. You call me. I want to know how this turns out. Daniel broke away from his father and hugged Eugene. Tight, the way a son hugs a father. Thank you, Mr. Hackman, for everything. Thank you, Daniel, for reminding me why any of this matters. Eugene got back in the taxi. As it pulled away, he looked through the back window. A father and son, standing on a sidewalk in Los Angeles, beginning a story that should have started 12 years ago. Eugene smiled. That's the thing about second chances. They come when you least expect them. Sometimes on a train, 25 years later, 2008. A man named Daniel Torres stood on a stage at the Sundance Film Festival. He was 37 years old, a filmmaker. His first feature had just won the grand jury prize. The audience applauded. Daniel held the award and looked out at the crowd. "I need to tell you about a train." The room went quiet. "When I was 12 years old, my mother died. I had no one, so I bought a ticket to Los Angeles to find a father I had never met. I had $11 in my pocket. I was alone. I was terrified." He paused. "On that train, a waiter tried to throw me out of the dining car because my ticket was coach class. I was hungry. I was crying. I was invisible. But someone saw me." Daniel's voice cracked. A man stood up and said, "He's not going anywhere." He sat me down at his table. He fed me. He gave me a place to sleep. He rode with me all the way to Los Angeles and personally made sure I found my father. That man was Eugene Allen Hackman. Gasps in the audience. Eugene Allen Hackman had retired from acting years ago. He rarely appeared in public. "Eugene gave me more than food and shelter. He gave me this." Daniel held up a worn paperback, the screenwriting book. "He told me I had a gift for storytelling. He told me to never give up. He told me that everyone deserves someone in their corner." Daniel held up the award. "Eugene, I don't know if you'll ever see this, but this is for you. This is for the man who saw a scared kid on a train and decided he mattered. Everything I am, everything I've made, started in that dining car. Thank you for taking me under your wing. Thank you for showing me that kindness still exists. And thank you for teaching me that the best stories are the ones that change people's lives. This one changed mine." In Santa Fe, New Mexico, Eugene Allen Hackman watched the broadcast alone in his living room. He was 88 years old. He hadn't made a movie in years. The world had mostly forgotten him. But Daniel Torres remembered. Eugene wiped his eyes, smiled at the television. "You did good, kid. You did good. They say if you walk through the quiet streets of Santa Fe today, past the adobe houses and the art galleries, you might see an old man walking alone. No entourage, no cameras, no fanfare. Just a man who spent 50 years pretending to be other people, and then spent the rest of his life finally being himself." Eugene Allen Hackman never played the Hollywood game. He never smiled for the cameras when he didn't mean it. He never pretended to like people he didn't respect. And in an industry built on fakery, his authenticity was the rarest thing of all. Is there someone in your life who saw you when you were invisible? Someone who took a chance on you when no one else would? Hollywood has many legends, but Eugene Allen Hackman was something different. He was the truth in a city of lies. If you want to know the real stories, the ones they didn't put in the magazines, you're in the right place. We are peeling back the curtain on the legends. If this story moved you, hit that like button. It helps more people discover these untold stories. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Eugene Allen Hackman, The Untold Truth, and turn on notifications. We're just getting started. There are stories about Dustin, about Francis Ford Coppola, about the night Eugene walked away from Hollywood forever. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Leave a comment below. Who took a chance on you when you were invisible? I'll see you in the next video. Stay real.